Welcome to the Solid Verbal. The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildebrand, joining me way over there in beautiful New York City. Dramatic pause. His name is Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
Ty, I am doing pretty well. I am hydrated. I got a decent night's sleep. Actually, not really, but I have a surge of energy right now. One, the team I enjoy is 3-0 and but one win away from Lightning number 4.
Boom!
And yours is a couple away from Lightning number 4.
Boom!
The drive to 4 is real for the Solid Verbal. But Ty, you were, if I may say so, right on the mark with Silent But Deadly Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Got to give credit where it's due. You nailed it. It was sort of like, you know how you enjoy the smell of your own wind, Ty?
Okay, this is getting very weird here. What are we doing? What is this?
I'm just saying you should be enjoying your wind.
I'm very much enjoying my wind. Thank you.
Good.
I am. And you should be enjoying this.
The Yakos. Home Dog of the Week.
You were clanging it like crazy when we did the Wednesday preview show. And if I can play another sound, if it's okay to play it that close together.
Guess who just got murdered?
Whoa! Whoa! What was going on?
Ty.
Down in Starkville, man. Holy crap.
I just would like to say I'm a special man with gifts. And that's with a T, gifts. Whoa. I don't know if you want to start there. I had an enjoyable time on Saturday. I watched it with friends and coworkers. I ate well. And I don't know where you would like to begin, Ty, but man, it was a silent but deadly day.
All right, let's begin where we always begin. Here are your week 3 lively reverbs. Have a listen.
Is anyone else so excited that Ty and Notre Dame are staying together? It's like our modern day Brangelina.
Hey Dan, Ty, Katie from Richmond.
Adam from Long Island. Gentlemen, Bowling, Ohio here. Hey, this is Ty from Gresham, Oregon.
This silent but deadly week is leaving some moist, dank, dark stains on the britches of the college football fans.
It's 7:06 p.m. and chaos has begun with Florida Hail Mary. So let's go!
There's only 2 things I believe in: the First Amendment and Florida beating Tennessee.
Breaking news! Tennessee is still the undisputed champion of life.
Is Butch Jones on the hot seat? That's the big question. No doubt about it.
Secretly decent Kentucky says, nah, Dan, you're kind of butt. Bring on the Gators.
Is Kentucky secretly decent? I think so.
I think it's time to talk to your kids about an undefeated Vanderbilt.
Just looking for some travel advice. I was wondering, should I buy my tickets to Atlanta now? Or do you think they'll be cheaper once the rest of the world realizes that Vandy's going to be playing in the SEC championship game this year?
Well, I guess it's time to fire Kevin, maybe next week.
That's right. Mississippi State. Nick Fitzgerald. The bowling ball with eyes. You called it from the get-go. Now let's ring them bells. Go Dogs.
The announcers in the Missouri game definitely just referred to Gene Chizik as Coach Jizz.
And in the SEC, being down 21-0 to Indiana's one-tier team, the Purdue Boilermakers, just means more.
Is it too early to start talking about maybe secretly decent or at worst secretly okay Purdue?
I'm just watching my Purdue Boilermakers completely spank an SEC team. I think we're going to beat the Michigan Wolverines next week.
You know, Alabama likes to crock-pot people, and Michigan's about to easy bake oven with 2 100-watt incandescent light bulbs their opponent to death this week for the 3rd straight week.
I'd like to let you guys know that Michigan's offense is addicted to not scoring in the red zone.
I don't care if it took a sleepover to get him to come to Michigan. We needed that leg. Thank goodness for Quinn Nordine. Go Blue.
Michigan beats Air Force, but the Falcon defense kept the Wolverine offense grounded. No doubt about it.
Mike Riley has to leave Nebraska
Nebraska now, even if it's by wagon train.
The whole Tanner Lee for Heisman thing really gained a lot of traction right now. Tanner Lee, Manning Camp MVP.
Hey, Ty, you got some good news and some bad news. Good news is you can be a Notre Dame fan for another day. Bad news is that Brian Kelly's still your coach.
As a Cowboy fan, it really felt like we were playing Akron.
It's funny how Pitt went from secretly decent to secretly Akron.
I think it's time that we start talking about the real dark horse in the ACC Atlantic. Secretly decent, Wake Forest.
Ty, if you say Louisville one more time, I'm probably going to come at you because Louisville, Colorado. That's where Louisville is. So I thought I'd call you guys while I'm still pleasantly buzzed.
Uh-oh, Clemson has a quarterback and somebody got murdered.
I just want everyone to know that Brent Venable talks to the list and he hates small kids and old ladies. Just want to put that out there so nobody tries to hire him.
I just got done watching USC Texas, and that finish was everything that's great about college football. Fight on.
You know, I was all ready for Texas to lose by 35. And they lost by a field goal in double overtime, and everything hurts. I don't know why I do this to myself.
All right, there you go. We had about, hundreds of calls. Coming to the Reverb line. Thank you again for calling 408-VERBAL-1, 408-837-2251. And big thanks, as always, to our production assistant, producer, whatever you want to call him, verbaler extraordinaire,
audio
friend
fluffer.
Taylor. That's right. Our good friend Taylor, who does God's work by collecting all those, putting all those together. Mm-hmm. Where do you want to start here? Because I pulled out a handful of games. There was, of course, USC and Texas and Clemson, Louisville, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi State, LSU, Memphis, and San Diego State, like a whole grouping of games that I think we need to talk about before we get into general conference action.
Ty, I think we should obey our body clocks because we are recording this, but 24 hours to the nose.
Yeah.
From the UCLA Memphis kickoff. So why don't we start there, and then we can go at night, and then we can come back and sort of fill in the gaps.
Memphis 48, UCLA 45. Yours truly called this one as an outright victory, a shootout, right?
Mm-hmm. Ty, I don't remember what you called.
I called that Memphis is going to win this game outright.
Okay. I'm going to take your word for it.
In a shootout. Another year, another Power 5 upset for Memphis. They've kind of gotten a knack for doing this thing by now. Mm-hmm. We had it pegged. Both of us did. I'm not going to say that you predicted the winner, but I'm not going to hold it against you. We both assumed that there was going to be minimal defense here and just a lot of points, and that the weird body clock thing with it being a West Coast team traveling east to play the early game would factor in, maybe a little bit of a look-ahead factor for UCLA because they've got Stanford on deck next week. All of that stuff really, truly did seem like it came into play because when UCLA went out there for a good chunk of the first half of this game, mm-hmm. and even through a large percentage of the second half, it seemed like there was a sleepwalking factor, right?
Oh, definitely. UCLA and Memphis are both teams where on any given play, anything that is possible to happen in a football game is on the table on both sides of the ball. This is how Memphis, by the way, so it went back and forth in the second half, a ton of scoring and just madness. This is the list of Memphis drives in the second half. Are you ready?
Yes, please.
Touchdown, punt, fumble, punt, touchdown, interception, win.
Yeah,
that's
really,
it.
Really the full spectrum there of football.
Yeah. So UCLA offensively was in a very nice place through the air because they have Josh Rosen and he makes plays, and also he giveth and taketh away. He had a particularly bad interception to start out his interception stat line of the year, but UCLA pretty decent on the ground. Memphis and Riley Ferguson were exceptional through the air. A ton of talent. Anthony Miller was the big name who I think he almost had 200 yards receiving against. I don't know exactly what happened to this UCLA defense, if it's just a matter of the losses from last year, but they look like sewer runoff. I was going to ask if they missed the flight to Memphis. I was going to tweet something out at halftime about whether or not Jim Mora sent an Uber to pick them up, because much like what we saw in the Pitt-Oklahoma State game, which I know you're going to
really enjoy rubbing in when we talk about that one. There was an element to UCLA's pass defense that felt very Pro Bowl-esque, right? There were guys streaking down the field, and you can see it on the broadcast. If we can see it, Lord knows somebody in the coach's box for UCLA has to be smart enough to see it. There was not much resistance to Riley Ferguson, and you're right. He threw for 6 touchdowns on the day, had himself a really nice game. Memphis chucking it up, getting points on the board. They win 48-45. And you mentioned Rosen. Rosen put up numbers, 463, 4 touchdowns. You know what we call that? Losing effort. Oh. Nice game for him, but a better game for the Memphis Tigers. Good for them. Big win in the Liberty Bowl.
Ty, what is the big concern about teleportation to you?
Teleportation?
Yeah, so like let's say a machine came out, was like, we can get you to Tokyo in a matter of seconds. What would your concern be?
I'm worried a little bit about the reassembly of my parts upon...
It's totally true.
Upon my final destination, right?
That's the complete truth. And when you brought up UCLA not fully making the trip on defense, I just look at it as a teleportation error. Like, 63% of UCLA particles arrived in Memphis.
They showed up and their ear is where their nose used to be. Weird.
Something's not right. And I don't think it's going to get fixed going back to Pasadena. Teleportation issues. So, yeah. Now we can go to better matchups, but I like starting with the body clock.
That's going to be its own sound in about a week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Teleportation issues. Let's talk about USC Texas. Let's stay in the Pac-12 because in many ways, this was the game of the night. When we did our Wednesday preview show, I made all sorts of fun about the overdramatic commercial that Fox was running to try and promo the game. Remember?
Right. Of course.
And it was overdramatic. Let's be honest. USC was a 17.5-point favorite going into this football game. But we all knew it was a rematch of the great Rose Bowl between Vince Young and Matt Leinart for the national championship and all that. Lo and behold, doesn't this freaking game go to overtime? Doesn't this game end up being a battle of defense?
Yeah. 100%.
What the hell was this game? I'm looking at the score line when it's 0-0 pretty late in the first half. And I'm thinking, okay, what's going to happen when we kick off again and start the second half? And this game was really neck and neck, a lot of back and forth. Texas grabbed a lead late until Sam Darnold got the ball and did a weird jump pass and led down the field. A game-tying drive that only lasted 4 or 5 plays, something crazy. This, to me, was a game dictated by defense until it was dictated by quarterback play when it really counted. USC needs overtime to knock off Texas at home. But I got to say, I have so many different thoughts on this game. I almost don't know where to start. Let's just move on to Sam Ehlinger, who, as a freshman, I think has now given Shane Buechele every reason to look for a transfer elsewhere.
Ooh, I mean, it's a long season. A lot can happen. And Ehlinger's still a freshman, but it was a statement evening for the freshman.
What stood out to you in this game?
The unorthodox nature of defenses, as you mentioned, being the star of the night, and offensively that when it came down to it in overtime, you're like, well, one of these quarterbacks is deciding it. It's not going to be a great off-tackle run call or a trick play. It's just going to be one of these guys, either Ehlinger, double Sam. I don't know how often that happens, if that falls in with your 19-point corollary, but double Sam, and knowing that one of these guys is going to drag their team across the pylon, whatever. And Sam Darnold is just a moment guy. And he makes really poor decisions at times. And as soon as it went to OT, I was like, he's not going to miss throws poorly. This is just his time. The defenses were great. Here was the other thing that stood out to me about Texas particularly. How many carries did Chris Warren have?
Yeah,
he had four. He had 4 carries for 15 yards. Their best power back. I understand the Texas left tackle left, and he's All-American caliber guy, Connor Williams, I believe. and the Texas offensive line, and both offensive lines were not particularly good. It was all about defensive fronts. But how many carries did Sam Ehlinger have? 19.
Yeah.
19, Ty. And what do Tim Beck and Tom Herman have in common in terms of where they have recently been offensive coordinators?
I see where you're going with this. This is a roundabout slight at Ohio State.
Would that mean a touch of, maybe the Urban Meyer virus? Touchdowns, carries by a quarterback leading the way in a losing effort. Where have we seen that?
You can't treat that. You can't treat that with like amoxicillin.
There's an infection, Ty, and I don't like to see it because Chris Warren's real good, and they just abandoned it.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that direction. So USC, incredible way to come back, incredible final 5 minutes of the game. I don't know what, by the end of the year, beating Texas will mean, because last year we thought Texas beating Notre Dame meant a whole lot, and then by the end of the year, like, well, I don't know exactly what that means. So here we are, USC, unbelievable survival, best TV show on the air last night.
Is Texas back?
I don't know what that means anymore. I know Colin Johnson is here. That's what I know.
I feel the same way about the is Texas back question as I do the is Tiger Woods back question. Sure. Tiger's back. No, he's not. Texas is back. No, they're not. I don't know. Hopefully we can get some clarity by season's end. I did think, though, Sam Ehlinger showed a lot of promise. I think he should be the guy moving forward. Yes. I thought he brought a lot more to the table than Shane Buechele did in, a season and a game, whatever he's played so far. I like Sam Ehlinger. I think he's a positive note for Texas, and they damn near could have won this game. A very good performance on the road here by the Longhorns as USC wins by 3 in double OT. Okay.
I don't want to see any more BMS, Ty. No more Beck-Meyer syndrome.
Okay. Clemson 47, Louisville. Louisville 21, Dan. Only one member of the broadcasting duo got this correct as their lock of the week. That would be yours truly, Dan. This one started to come apart, I think, in earnest for Louisville about midway through the third quarter after Lamar Jackson threw a pick six. And just in general, Clemson defensively did a really good job keeping him in check. He didn't have a ton of time to throw. Mm-hmm. There were the occasional big runs, as Lamar Jackson is wont to do, but he was sort of telegraphing his throws down the stretch. The guy can only do so much without a supporting cast. And Clemson was after him the whole game. They harassed him. There wasn't much else that they could do offensively beyond give the ball to Lamar Jackson and let him try and create a play. And you can only go to that well so many times before Clemson defensively starts coming up with ways to get the ball back, and then offensively starts using their weapons, which is what they did with Kelly Bryant, who looked damn impressive. He did not waver at all on the road at night in a big spot. He looked extremely comfortable throwing the football, which I think is going to scare a lot of people now as we project forward into the ACC, into the playoff buildup as that begins to smolder a little bit. They were able to run the football for 297 yards. Clemson was on offense. And I just thought on both sides of the ball gave folks a lot of reason to be scared. Clemson looked damn good in this spot.
Clemson, I think, is right now the most impressive team in the country. Alabama may be more talented, and you sort of have the benefit of the doubt of Nick Saban and that team. But right now, Clemson with Kelly Bryant having beaten Auburn, and Auburn defense, I think, is probably still one of the best 6 or 7 defenses in the country, beating a pretty decent Louisville team with still the most dangerous player with the ball in the country. Clemson is the top team for me in the country. Kelly Bryant looks so damn comfortable.
Yeah.
The drop-off is so slight from Deshaun Watson, and it's just an experience drop-off. I think what Kelly Bryant is able to do through the air, when we saw the double move throw to, was it Ray McLeod who caught that long touchdown pass? It's the type of pressure that Kelly Bryant, I'm sure, had and still has on him trying to follow Deshaun Watson, who, by the way, Ty, did you see his tweet, his response?
I was just going to mention it.
Oh, my goodness. Thunder. I love the clap.
Deshaun Watson going backup may be better than the starter.
Yes. Backup being maybe better than the starter, and tweeting out a picture of himself holding the national championship trophy in response to a Louisville fan holding up a Lamar Jackson won the Heisman and Deshaun didn't kind of trophy, which is not like the best because the dude just won the national championship, is drafted in the first
It's like
round.
playing a three of a kind against a full house.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm confident that Louisville will be fine. I don't know how many games they win, but the only defense that they have the rest of the way out that is at all comparable to Clemson's defense is they go to Florida State, which they managed all right against last year. We'll see what happens this year, but the defenses, here's who they have left. They have Kent State. It looks like they've got Murray State at NC State, which has a good defensive line, but is not on the level of Clemson or Florida State in terms of a full defense. Boston College, Wake, Virginia, Syracuse, Kentucky. Louisville will be fine. Maybe they go 8-4, but they'll be fine.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. I don't
Clemson,
think,
I just love.
Yeah, I love Clemson. I don't think this year's Louisville team would beat last year's Louisville team.
Okay, I still think there's offensive skill there.
Oh, there's a ton
I like
of skill.
Malik Williams. Yeah.
There's a ton of skill. Right now, though, early returns, 3 weeks in, 2017 Louisville does not beat 2016 Louisville. Different team.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson's not going to be able to do this alone.
No, feels like a different team.
He has to make peace with that. Yeah.
All right. Another big game on Saturday afternoon. Florida 26, Tennessee 20. This is what we would refer to, I believe, as a miracle front door cover. For those wondering what a front door cover is, Florida was favored in this game by a very slim margin, about 4.5 points ish.
Right around there.
Somewhere in that range. This is a game that the favorite won at the last second and somehow managed miraculously to cover the point spread. You were in on Florida, I believe, in this game. I was in on Tennessee because I didn't like a spot when the team favored did not feel like they could score points. And by and large, Dan, that was the rub on this game for most of it. For at least 3 quarters, both defenses looked awesome because the offenses were really bad. And it was just 6-3 at halftime in this game. And then we got to the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it got hot.
All hell broke loose. Loved it.
Sizzling hot, hot, hot. And I tweeted out that this was like a reverse sear. You know, all of a sudden, this one got crazy in a hurry. The last 10 minutes are when things really heated up. Malik Davis for Florida had a long run, could have put the game on ice, but is stripped right at the goal line, right before he crosses. The ball goes out, one of those deals where it's fumbled through the end zone for a touchback. And now all of a sudden, Tennessee has a little bit of new life. A little bit of new life.
I was watching that moment, by the way, with our pal Richard Johnson, who is a big Florida fan, recent Florida graduate. And he went from, let's go, no! It was pretty magical, the emotional swing involved. But you are right.
I don't feel bad for any Florida fans. No Florida fans, especially Richard. He was beating that drum of the 4-8 thing until about 4 weeks ago. I don't feel bad for him. I love Richard.
I like this.
I love Richard. I really, truly do. He's a nice guy. He's a talented analyst when it comes to college football. I don't feel bad one iota for him. I hope it happens every game.
Here's what else I took away from this game. John Kelly is an unbelievable talent for Tennessee.
He's a dude.
I mean, he almost had 100 through the air and on the ground. He had about 150 on the ground, but ran so hard. Is so impossible to take down on first contact. It's not huge, good size, obviously, but he was a one-man wrecking crew, and I think that the passing game let them down. Quentin Dormady had 3 picks. It was not a particularly pleasant day for him, but Felipe Franks made some throws even before the final throw, which here's what I'm calling. I'm not saying it's a Hail Mary.
No, it was not. It's definitely, it was a bomb.
It was just, it was an ordinary deep pass to win the game. And I don't know if you remember, it might have been 2008, 2009, when Arizona State did this against Washington, the Nick Holt defensive coordinated Washington team. And it was, I'm really dating myself here, I think it was Danny Sullivan to Chris McGahay.
Okay.
Those names do sound familiar.
Sure.
We were doing the show, and there was like 6 seconds left, and they just did like 4 verts, and he got behind a safety, and it was a touchdown to win the game. So I'm calling this a Hail Brenda, because it's a much more ordinary woman's name. Just like, yeah, I mean, he was throwing it up to win the game, but it wasn't really like a jump ball more as it was just like, hey, he got a long pass for a touchdown. Hail Brenda.
A Hail Mary is usually when you've got a group of guys in the end zone.
It's just a prayer.
And you're throwing it up into the group, and it's a full-on jump ball.
Yeah.
This was just a guy got beat. Tyree Cleveland toasted a safety who turned the wrong way, and Felipe Franks threw the ball 66 yards in the air, connected on
the run.
Yeah, what amounted to a 63-yard touchdown pass at the gun to give Florida a 26-20 victory. Felipe Franks has a lot of promise. He really, truly does. They need to find a better way to get this offense to click earlier in a game.
Bottle that fourth quarter play calling.
That's right. Earlier in a game, find a way to bottle that up and spread it thin all throughout the course of the game so you have a little bit more consistent offensive feel. Nonetheless, it was admirable how Florida answered the call here. You know, I'm not going to say that play call was any kind of touch of a maestro offensively, right? It worked out in their favor, but that was a situation where you had a young quarterback seeing the field on the run, made a throw, and the team executed to win the game.
Yeah, after almost giving it away, letting 20 seconds tick off the clock because I think they thought there was a first down and the clock was stopped, and with timeouts, so got away with one.
That was James Franklin's School of Clock Management right there. That was James Franklin 101.
Spread that offensive Nutella right across those four quarters moving
That's right,
forward.
baby.
Yeah.
Florida, nice win. Nice win. They go on the road, I think, next week to Kentucky.
They do.
In a game that we will be forced to talk about at night.
Oh, how dare you. Good basketball game, though.
Absolutely. Okay. Staying in the SEC, Dan, Mississippi State 37.
Play it again.
37.
Guess who just got
murdered? LSU 7, Dan.
Yeah.
Holy freaking S.
I believe I had this one.
You did. Mississippi State, dominant offensively, dominant defensively. I watched as much of this game as I could. They probably left some points on the table, at least in the first half when Nick Fitzgerald missed open guys.
Mm-hmm.
This was a thorough beatdown on all fronts.
If I may, Ty, I'd like to say a few words for and I quote, maybe LSU's offense will be jump-started by Matt Canada. It's just what they need. It was a great summer, good early fall. The spring was, I think we all remember, our precious memories of that phrase. And I think the important thing now, Ty, is to just move on and remember the good times and not stay hung up on the sourness.
Matt Canada going as Cam Cameron this Halloween season.
Oh, Ty. That's not nice. It's true. So basically what I saw in this game, and this was a muted game on a separate screen, and I'll watch it more this week. Danny Etling remains Danny Etling. The passing game remains the passing game. The undisciplined nature that this team goes through for periods remains just that. And we have come to really appreciate a Dave Aranda defense at LSU and Wisconsin and Utah State, wherever, when it's clicking against big teams and big moments. And I know going into this game, that was part of why you really liked LSU, because you thought that this defense, and not unusually so, could shut down Mississippi State. But wow, just a clunker, Ty. I don't know how to explain. And Mississippi State is good.
Yeah.
They're good.
See, here's the thing. You're right. I did like that physical nature of LSU's defense. And generally speaking, when you have a physical offense going up against LSU's physical defense, LSU wins out. That's been their MO for Lord knows how long now. They're very physical up front. They got bullied. Nick Fitzgerald bullied the crap out of them. This whole offense bullied the crap out of LSU. And conversely, what I really liked about LSU in this game was the fact that they had a running game with Darius Geis, and Mississippi State was a defensive front seven that replaced a lot from a year ago.
But not Jeffrey Simmons.
Not Jeffrey Simmons. But you do the math, right? You do the math, and logically, okay, that would appear to be a matchup that favors LSU. That was not the case. That was not the case. Darius Geis had like 76 yards, something like that. in this game, but it wasn't enough to carry them over the finish line at all.
Ty, I've got a shocker for you. If you want to play a breaking news draw for me. Breaking news. Somehow Mississippi State won a big game against a good defense without having their quarterback carry the ball, who is a good runner, more than their lead runner.
I know.
Eris Williams, 23 carries, Nick Fitzgerald, 14. I don't know how it happened, but it did.
Here's my question for you, and we're going to get some clarity next Saturday night when there are, again, just a slew of good games to watch in the evening. They need to space these out a little bit more, but we'll talk about that next week. Mississippi State now goes to Georgia to play a game.
Oh, love that.
You could make a case, and I did on my weird breakfast broadcast this morning.
Make it.
You can make a case that Mississippi State would be the best team in the SEC East right now.
I would probably give Georgia the benefit of the doubt right now because that game is in Athens.
You could make that case, though, right?
Yes, because of the quarterback situation at Georgia where you're not fully confident in either of the Jakes or Jacobs, whatever, to win in a big spot against a very good defense because of their arm. When Georgia beat Notre Dame, it was much more ground game, defense, field position kind of thing that one of those guys could take over a game in the way that I think we're confident in Nick Fitzgerald in this offense. So I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun as hell. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to see that game. A huge win for Mississippi State now. They were really impressive here. Good on them. Good for Dan Mullen. Good for Nick Fitzgerald. And then the final game that I want to highlight here before we get into some individual conferences was the late game between San Diego State and Stanford. Now, you'll remember
that I had this.
You had this. I had this too.
Yeah.
But you'll remember on the broadcast on Wednesday, we pulled out the UCLA Memphis and San Diego State Stanford games, and we called them a Vegas knows something tier. Right? Vegas knows something about these games. You always get the feel when you see a line like this that somewhere in the back of Vegas's mind, they think that there could be upsets brewing. Sure. And in the Memphis UCLA case, we saw that happen, and we saw it happen again, actually, also by 3, San Diego State 20, Stanford 17. What struck me in both of these upsets, Stan, is that in both the case of Memphis and San Diego State, both of those teams played entirely within themselves. And you see it happen an awful lot when you've got a group of 5 team against a power 5 team. They get taken out of their game plan, out of their rhythm very early on, and then it's all downhill. In neither case did Memphis or San Diego State ever have to play a game that was outside of themselves. San Diego State wanted to win this game with defense, and that's exactly what they did.
Oh, San Diego State was excellent in this game. They've been a very good defensive team for a while. They have like a random... Last year, they'll like shut everybody down. They'll keep everybody to 13, 7, 6. Then they'll go to like a triple overtime game and it's 63, 62. Like, oh, okay, where did that come from? But San Diego State has quietly been building a really solid program. And Donnell Pumphrey is a record-setting running back. Rashad Penny had another amazing game.
Yeah.
Is now a national type running back already in just early September-ish. And here's something I took away from this game indirectly. Every day I'm trying to, we did not appreciate just how good Kevin Hogan was.
Nope.
Because since he left, quarterback play for Stanford has been, outside of playing the Brady Hoke Oregon team last year, and somewhat North Carolina, bummer city. Keller Christ was not good at all.
Nope.
Like sewer runoff again. There's something about West Coast quarterbacks where you're getting nothing at points. Ryan Burns came in. I think he threw a pass, but they might have to go to, we may have seen Keller Christ ceiling. I know they've got a couple of really young dudes, maybe a redshirt freshman and a true freshman that they think the world of, but Stanford runs a pretty complicated offense at times. Stanford they might be a 9-win team by the end of the year, but right now they're playing like a 5-7 team.
Yeah, Keller Christ, 9 of 20 for 72 yards and 2 picks through the air. Most of their offense came via Bryce Love, who the folks at CBS Sports Network, they were loving it. I don't know how much of this game you watched, but I was up.
A little.
I was up late, and they were playing the refrain from What I Got by Sublime, love is what I got. after his long touchdown in the start of the fourth quarter. He really did constitute most of their offense here. And the other thing of note that we would be remiss if we didn't mention, there was a power outage during this game, and a critical moment in this game as San Diego State was driving to try and go ahead or try and mount something in the final moments. Quite literally, Pac-12 after dark, 6 plays before David Wells, the tight end, not the pitcher, caught the game-winning touchdown with 54 seconds left. The lights went out for 25 minutes at old Qualcomm Stadium, Dan. They're maybe not paying the power bills. I know they've let that stadium fall into a mild state of disrepair in San Diego, but nonetheless, a 25-minute delay before players were able to take the field again, kick things back off. 6 plays later, San Diego State scores a touchdown. They win the game 20-17. Nice win for them.
After Bryce Love's 63-yard touchdown on the 4th possession for Stanford, do you know how many total yards? 63-yard touchdown run. How many total yards after that touchdown run Stanford had?
Not
the
many.
4th drive.
Not many.
66.
Yeah.
Wow. What is Stanford doing? Same time zone. Body clock is fine.
Yeah. I don't know. They got to find a better fit for that quarterback position. Perhaps they could try proper cloth.
Perhaps they could.
Finding a dress shirt, it's hard. Something's always off, much like finding a quarterback for your team. Thankfully, ordering a custom fit shirt's never been easier with Proper Cloth. At propercloth.com, you can easily create a custom shirt size in seconds. All you got to do is answer 10 simple questions. You could choose from over 20 collar styles, 10 cuff styles, 500 fabric styles, from classic to business to completely customizing your shirt to get any style that you desire. The team at Proper Cloth, they work day and night with the best fabric producers from around the world. They only buy fabrics that meet their high quality standards. Everything that they do goes through extensive quality control testing. You get the absolute best quality and craftsmanship. Best of all, they guarantee a perfect fit. So if somehow it doesn't fit when they send you your shirt, they'll remake it for free. This is, suffice to say, the future of shirts, Dan.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
The future of shirts. They will completely build a custom shirt for you, starting at just $80. So you can go to propercloth.com/solid today. And if you enter the gift code SOLID, you'll save $20 off your first shirt. $20. Not insignificant. $20.
No brainer.
Stop wearing shirts that don't fit. Start looking your best with a custom fitted shirt from Proper Cloth. Again, propercloth.com/solid. Gift code SOLID. Do it today.
Yeah, man. Do it.
All right. I'm going to give you your moment in the sun here.
Ha, 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 ha.
Let's go to the Big 12.
Okay.
Oklahoma State 59, Pitt 21. This is a one-team shootout, Dan, which is never good for an opposing defense. Oklahoma State hangs 59 points, 676 yards on Pitt. They were 10 of 14 on third down. Mason Rudolph, 497 passing, 5 touchdowns. 4 wideouts went over 100 yards, including Jalen McCleskey, who had 162 and 3 touchdowns. Pitt's defense was Pro Bowl bad. And when I say Pro Bowl bad...
Again, I like this new thing from you.
Thank you. It was Pro Bowl bad in a much, much, much more acute sense than we saw with UCLA and their pass defense against Memphis. It looked like they were having a scrimmage out there, a legit scrimmage. Guys had 15, 20 yards of cushion when Mason Rudolph would throw the ball. And I don't know what the hell this was all about, but wow, did I come away impressed by this offense.
I couldn't believe how confident you were. You were saying, I ride with Pitt. I ride.
I was.
This game was over while you were still on your TV's guide, trying to find out which channels every game was on. It was 21-0 by the time you found out, it's on regular ESPN. And then it was you flip to it, you're like, how is this mathematically possible? It's mathematically possible because Pitt's defense, atrocious. Pro Bowl defense. Mason Rudolph was just throwing the ball downfield in the vicinity of whoever it was on that specific pass. If it was McCleskey, if it was Junkyard Jim Washington, Marcel Aitman had a couple of amazing catches. Dylan Stoner, 4 receivers over 100 yards, Ty.
Yep.
And this was basically, there was some in the second half, but they weren't really throwing in the second half. Justice Hill had a good game, but Oklahoma State, and the actual fun thing about Oklahoma State, because there's no reason to stay hung up on Pitt because Pitt's not particularly good. That's just a reality right now. Maybe it'll change. They brought in their backup quarterback who appears to be better than the starter, Ben DiNucci. Oklahoma State in the coming weeks, I believe they host TCU in Stillwater, who looked real good.
Yeah.
Issues they need to clean up, but real good against SMU. And they travel to Texas Tech, who won again against Arizona State, which is, not that impressive, but it'll be a shootout. Hopefully we'll get 4 quarters of the Cowboys in each of these games. So I came away, this is a mathematical anomaly, how good Oklahoma State's offense is right now, because they're so complete. I'm very excited to see what they do. Even they have the Texas defense, if the defense is getting up for big games like it did against USC in the middle of October. They have West Virginia later on. They have, Bedlam's early on in November, so we don't have to wait till the end of the season. I'm excited to watch Oklahoma State football the rest of the way.
They have so many different ways that they can beat you.
And here's the secret sauce, Ty. If they keep beating teams by 45, there's a ton of reps for the 2s, 3s, even 4s, whatever coming into the game, that there's going to be so much experience on this Cowboy roster by the end of the year. If the third string, even if the rotation guys are playing 50 snaps a game, that's a huge advantage later on.
Yeah. Well, huge win here. Oklahoma State, big one at home next week. We'll preview it. They play TCU. Their rival in state is Oklahoma. Oklahoma rolled one up on Tulane. Tulane hung with Oklahoma for a half, and then Oklahoma pulled away. Baker Mayfield, 4 touchdowns in a 56-14 victory. I did mention TCU. TCU had themselves a bit of a dogfight early, I emphasize early, against SMU. SMU led in the second quarter, and then Kenny Hill, talk about mathematical anomalies. He threw 3 touchdown passes in the last 7.5 minutes of the first half, which, as you might imagine, shifted momentum in favor of TCU. They didn't really look back from there. Kenny Hill had 4 touchdowns on the day, only missed 6 passes in total. They've got some cleanup to do. They too many penalties, 11 for 94 yards. But beyond that, I thought a good showing after they got the train rolling against SMU.
Yeah, a couple things to clean up, but the defensive line got better over the course of this game. SMU was good at nickel and diming early on, hit with a couple of trick plays, but Kenny Hill, if he's playing with that sort of efficiency, and if the backfield stays healthy, it's Anderson, Hicks, and great name, okay, Ty, here we go. Sewo Olonilua?
Globe Tomatoes, sure.
Yeah, Globe Tomato, Sewo Olonilua. Really good trio of running backs. Kavonte Turpin was involved. So I'm optimistic about TCU when they are hitting on so many different fronts. So really nice win to sort of burst away from SMU. And granted, it's still SMU's defense. Not a huge thing to take away, but that's what they should have done. Kenny Hill should be completing 65% plus passes versus a defense that's still pretty down. So great to see.
All right, you mentioned Texas Tech. They beat Arizona State in a shootout, as you might expect, 52-45. West Virginia runs one up on Delaware State, 3 touchdowns apiece for our boy Billy Greer and Justin Crawford. Ohio knocks off Kansas by a 42-30 score. And finally, in Big 12 country, Iowa State 41, Akron 14. Another nice day for Jacob Park, for Dude Alert David Montgomery, and my boy Duke of Hazzard, Alan Lazard.
You forgot one big game.
Oh?
Vandy, Kansas State.
I was going to go there next.
Okay, because 2 top 4 QBR quarterbacks going into the game. Vanderbilt is pretty fun and decent defensively, and Kyle Shermer made a couple big plays on offense. Ty, we're going to get to the dudes at the end of the show,
yeah,
but please know I'm going to include Charles Wright.
You better.
Not only because he was a dude, but because Derek Mason actually called him a dude after the game. So
That's right.
We have to. That's an obligation. So Vandy did a great job holding on late. Jesse Ertz tried to run for a first down or touchdown at the end of the game, but Vandy's defense was pretty extraordinary against a very experienced and we assume good Kansas State offense.
By the way, both home dogs.
Yeah.
The Yakos. Home dog of the week.
Both of our home dogs come into play. You had Mississippi State. I had Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt wins outright over K-State. 14-7. Not pretty. 15 punts in the game, but exactly the kind of game you would expect here as they win 14-7. Vandy, by the way, they host Alabama next week. That's a CBS game. Look, Vandy's probably not going to beat Alabama. But they're going to play defense. And to have that game at home on CBS is a really nice feather in their cap for Vandy.
Sure.
Let's stay in the SEC and talk about Kentucky 23, South Carolina 13. So we've been talking about dudes all year.
Yeah.
And one of our favorite dudes through 2 weeks was Deebo Samuel.
Yeah,
and he won the first frame of this duel of the dudes between him and Benny Snell by scoring an early touchdown, which has sort of been his MO early on now. Benny won the final 2 frames. He had 102 yards, 2 touchdowns as Kentucky wins. But the big news here, the sad news, is that Deebo broke his leg and he's done for the year.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there are some reports that it won't be the full season. We're hoping for a speedy recovery and all sorts of health for Deebo Samuel, just because at a certain point I saw this stat that he had 15 touches on the year and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, not
15
bad. 15
touches, 6 touchdowns. Pretty decent. So, yeah, we're hoping for the best for Deebo Samuel and a nice enough win for Kentucky after a slow start, and South Carolina certainly a setback, but offensively, Gamecocks weren't able to do a whole lot. Jake Bentley, you take the good with the bad, made some big throws, but a couple of boneheaded mistakes. And South Carolina really does need, because they still don't have the depth, they still don't have the playmakers, they still don't have the sort of overwhelming offense at times, that they need those special teams plays. So Deebo Samuel and that loss is going to be big.
By the way, Florida is on the road at Kentucky next Saturday night. I don't think it's at all out of the question that Kentucky could somehow win that game, especially Florida coming off a huge emotional Hail Mary, Hail Brenda style victory.
You think Kentucky's finally going to beat Florida?
I'm not going to go that far. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me given the situation here.
Okay.
If that were to occur.
Fair.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Alabama 41, Colorado State 23. More points here for Colorado State than I expected.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it was sort of, I don't know if any of them meant all that much, but sure. It just means a little. They scored in garbage time. Yeah, Alabama took care of business.
Georgia 42, Samford 10, Auburn 24, Mercer 10. This is a sloppy game for Auburn, by the way. 5 turnovers against Mercer. And
not great.
Finally, Texas A&M 45, Louisiana 21. A&M actually trailed at half, but then got their act together. They scored 31 unanswered in the second half. And Kellen Mond got the start at quarterback, had himself a nice game.
Is A&M going to make a bowl game?
Ooh. I'm inclined to say no.
South Carolina, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi State, Auburn, New Mexico, Ole Miss, LSU. Ole Miss, New Mexico, and South Carolina. They have Arkansas next week. They need to win all 4 of those games.
I'm inclined to say no right now.
Okay.
And that's when you can start beating the drum on that Chip Kelly to College Station rumor.
Doesn't seem fun in College Station. If Chip Kelly truly has options.
He's got all sorts of options, but
doesn't seem great.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the Big Ten. Ohio State 38, Army 7. Nice game for J.K. Dobbins. Nice game for J.T. Barrett. In fairness, it should have been a nice game for both of them because they were playing against the United States Army. But again, good to see them get things rolling through the air in any capacity, because that's really the question mark now. That's the question
mark. A lot
of
open receivers, and they hit them. Yeah.
Good for them. 38-7. Michigan, 29, Air Force 13. Now, you called this one in advance, that this is one of those weird games, a service academy against a Midwest team. Michigan did not set the world on fire on offense. I feel like a broken record saying that. They needed 5 field goals from Quinn Norton, who's very quickly becoming a dude from the kicker position, and a punt return from Donovan Peoples-Jones in order to really get separation in this one. Just one offensive touchdown for Michigan, Dan.
A lot of Florida to this Michigan. Like, I don't like the fact that Florida might be infecting teams with the whole offensive touchdown struggle thing. Michigan, Wilton Spade is missing receivers. This offensive line is not particularly good. Michigan's defense is their offense. So, I mean, it's defense and kicking, which, God, is that a bummer to watch. So Michigan needs to figure something out through the air, because you take away a couple of those big runs and there's not much to this Michigan offense.
Speaking of bummers, Mr. Rubenstein.
Hit me.
Let's talk about BYU's offense.
Why? Why must we do this?
BYU lost 40-6 against Wisconsin, Dan, and it was a big day for Alex Hornibrook, 256, 4 touchdowns. Big game for our boy Jonathan Taylor, tailback, 128 and a touchdown. But oh gosh, 6 points, only 6 points for BYU. Their offensive woes continue. They are scoring 6 points per game against Power 5 opponents right now. Suffice to say, Ty Detmer might have been better in the financial sector. He still has options. He can still go back to doing that. It's not too late. This is not working out. Not working out for him as OC at BYU.
Yeah, the only real takeaway from this game beyond BYU is not particularly good at football in 2017 is Wisconsin's doing a nice job working in younger players. You mentioned Jonathan Taylor, tailback, but all over the place, Wisconsin's building depth. Alex Hornibrook, a nice day, and Wisconsin's schedule is just so smooth, so silky.
Jet puffed.
Yep.
Okay, 40-6.
We're next.
40-6. Northern Illinois. 21, Nebraska 17.
Yeah.
Dan, Nebraska is now 1-2. Nebraska had 2 chances to win in the final 9 minutes of this game. On the first drive, they got stopped on 4th down. On the second, it was Tanner Lee's nation worst 7th interception. He had 3 of them.
This is for the last time, Ty, for the final time.
Yeah.
The God. Because it's not fun anymore.
He threw his 5th, 6th, and 7th interception in this game.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be asking this question, but it's probably a fair one to ask. And as the member,
did you want a shot to play quarterback for Nebraska?
No. As the member of this broadcasting team who went out and said that Nebraska could go 5-7, I have to ask a real question about what happens next week when Rutgers goes to Lincoln.
You mean 65-0 victors? Rutgers?
That is correct, over Morgan State.
Newly found dual threat quarterback, young quarterback, having fun out there against Morgan State. Rutgers
at Nebraska next week.
Nebraska will probably win that game. They will probably get their act together.
The fact, though, that you're hedging ever so slightly is very telling here.
Yeah, so here's what I've been thinking about as you've been asking me this question, Ty. Should we, you and I, you're what, 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah.
I'm about 6'1", little over 6'1". Do you think we could go to the Manning Passing Academy and be like pretty good? Like, should we go?
I can
like,
throw
could this turn things around for us?
I've got an arm.
Yeah, you do. I've got moxie.
Man. Not going well.
Nebraska, I mean, Tanner Lee threw 2 pick sixes. Northern Illinois, I believe, only scored 1 offensive touchdown. Nebraska couldn't get anything going on offense. Their first 8 drives were, I think it was 6 punts and 2 picks. And it's, at a certain point, are you looking? There's a freshman, there's a redshirt freshman. Do we get some reps if they run away from Rutgers just to see what they look like on a field? Does
John Gruden own any land in Nebraska that we should know about?
I wasn't. I don't think either one of us were expecting all that much from Nebraska this year.
But not this.
But you can't lose. This is not even a good Northern Illinois. This is not Dave Dora in Northern Illinois. I can't believe that sentence came out of my mouth. But it's not a particularly good Northern Illinois team.
Nebraska now 1-2. Yikes. Yeah. All right. Let's go to a more upbeat Big Ten story. Purdue.
Hell yeah.
Purdue, baby. 35-3 over Missouri. They didn't just beat Missouri, Dan. They crushed them. They crushed them. They played two quarterbacks. They both looked good. They gave 9 different guys the football. They threw it to 13 different receivers. And while we're on the topic of hypothetical questions, let's talk about Purdue. Because Purdue has an interesting game next week at home in the afternoon when Michigan comes to town, Dan.
Ty, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you drinking the Ross-Aid? Right? Are you okay with that? I'm a very dumb human, Ty.
Yeah, I'm look, we knew
Missouri's so bad. Missouri was so bad.
Yeah, but we would expect that they would beat Purdue, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were favored in this game.
So here's what we know about Purdue right now. Purdue hung with what we think is still probably a pretty good Louisville team. Yeah. But it was the first game of the year. Maybe they, caught a couple breaks and Louisville felt stale, whatever. They beat Ohio, who is fine, nothing special. So I think we just assumed collectively, okay, Purdue is more organized. There's a more cohesive plan in place, but the talent isn't there, and they need to recruit to their specific system. It's going to take a year or two. Ooh, Mizzou's in a bad place. They're getting killed like this, man. Ooh. Like, I don't know what Barry Odom's buyout is. And I honestly, I hope I've evolved to the point where, like, I don't want to wish unemployment upon people, but this is heading in a very specific direction, isn't it?
Chip Kelly to Mizzou, yeah.
Nah. I like Columbia, but nah.
I am encouraged, though, that it seems Purdue is organized quicker than I thought. Because to go out there and beat Missouri, maybe not the best Missouri team, but 35-3, that's a showing. All right. I'm proud of what Jeff Brom's putting together. I'm very curious to see how they look at home against the Michigan team that hasn't exactly had its offense in order yet.
Right.
And I'm starting to wonder about other games on the schedule for Purdue.
It's not a bad schedule.
Who could they jump up and get?
Who's above them right now, other than Wisconsin and Michigan?
I mean, they could beat very easily. They could beat Minnesota. They could definitely beat Rutgers and Nebraska. Illinois and Northwestern have Northwestern at least has been a bit of a disappointment this year.
Illinois is trash.
They could beat Iowa. I don't think that's out of the question.
Iowa struggled with North Texas for a chunk.
And Indiana could absolutely be a game that they could win. We're potentially talking here. Best case scenario about a 9-3 Purdue team.
Okay, I'm not that going. No. I can't have that, Ty.
Best case, if you're really drinking the Ross-Aid, then
that's true.
You're talking 9-3 Purdue.
No, I think they could threaten a bowl, which is a huge win this year.
All right. Penn State 56-0 over Georgia State. Penn State forces 5 turnovers. Northwestern 49, Bowling Green 7. Minnesota 34, Middle Tennessee 3. And Rutgers wins 65-0, as you mentioned earlier. Illinois loses to a good USF team on Thursday or Friday. They played that game a few days earlier.
Lot of penalties. If you liked whistles, boy howdy, do I have a matchup for you.
To the ACC we go. Notre Dame 49, Boston College 20. Did you see Boston College going with the cutoff pants look?
I saw the Harold Landry look, and it was spicy, Ty. I liked it.
Did you also happen to hear the lengthy conversation in which Brian Griese discussed the new strength coach really paying dividends for Notre Dame?
So I only saw a tweet about this. I didn't actually hear the conversation, but love a good strength coach talk.
It was very secretly a good day for me in the fantasy things because we had the strength coach talk. We had a bunch of Mike Gundy mullet talk on game day.
Good. I saw some announcers, I guess it was during the Pitt game, they wore mullet wigs.
Yep.
It's great.
Here's all I'm saying about this Notre Dame game, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Please do not be distracted by the fact that Notre Dame rushed for 500 yards against Boston College.
Okay.
Do not be distracted by that.
What should I pay attention to?
What you should pay attention to is that Brandon Wimbush holds onto the ball too long, does not look comfortable as a passer, and in this game had just 4 yards per attempt. Notre Dame has a passing game problem right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they go to Michigan State next week and it looks any better, but this is not the easiest schedule in the world. It's not the highest of high-end schedules. It is not, but this is a passing game issue that they need to fix very quickly, and if they don't, they're going to go like 7-5 or 6-6.
So
please do not forget about that. Do not look at the box score and say, oh, Brandon Wimbush ran for 200 yards. That does not matter. I'm telling you, he can't throw. It's a problem.
Yeah, he didn't complete 50% of his passes, right, against Boston College?
No.
He's
missing open guys. He needs 30 seconds in the pocket to be truly comfortable. He really, truly does. Anything other than that, he's either airmailing a guy on a 4-yard hitch or he's tucking it under and trying to run for the first down. That is their offense right now.
What's the solution?
I don't know if there is a solution, to be honest.
Is it all rhythm throws? It is all like bubble screens, tunnel screens, slants?
It's not even that, Dan. I don't know what it is. He doesn't have the confidence right now to make those timing-based throws, and if the first read isn't there, he's tucking it under and trying to run.
And that's Michigan State, who has played well early, has not played a Power 5 team yet, but they've played directional Michigans well. They had a bye week, right?
They had a bye week, yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm telling you, it's a problem. It's a problem. Don't sleep on the problem.
And Michigan State generally does pretty well against Notre Dame.
Virginia Tech, even last year in 3-9 version of Michigan State, they still beat Notre Dame.
Okay.
Virginia Tech, 64, ECU 17. Josh Jackson looks really good. He's looked great so far.
Cam Phillips.
Cam Phillips is going to get a dude alert.
Oh, yeah.
Mention.
Oh, he's on the list.
14 catches, 189, 3 touchdowns. I did the math. He's on pace for 108 catches and 1,250 yards this year. Not bad.
Not too shabby.
NC State wins 49-16 over Furman. Duke beats Baylor. North Carolina, Wake Forest, Syracuse, and Virginia all win as well.
Hey, good for Wake. Let's not gloss. Good for Wake.
Good for Wake, yeah.
A nice day for John Wolford. Arkeem-Bird? Yeah, Arkeem-Bird. Sorry. There are so many humans to remember, Ty. There's so very many. And they had a receiver go over 100 yards as well. So Wake taking care of business early. I don't believe they've lost. Wake moving forward looks like a beatable App State team. And then things get very real.
Yep.
Things get so real for Wake. But hey, I like seeing it.
And finally in the Pac-12, Cal ran the ball.
Hell
they
yeah.
Beat Ole Miss.
No A.J. Brown for the Rebels. But
no A.J. Brown. Ole Miss scored early. They were shut out the final 43 minutes by Cal. Shea Patterson had a nice game, had 2 long touchdown throws for Ole Miss. But this game for them was more about 16 penalties and 113 penalty yards and a non-existent run game. Cal was able to move the ball on the ground. I'm still a fan of the Bauer Hour. I'm going to be talking Bauer Hour next week a little bit when USC travels to Cal and what could happen
Weekender.
there. Yep. But Cal wins 27-16. Nice win for them.
Big thing is Tim DeRuyter has done a very good job early on. Cal's forcing turnovers. The Cal offense will probably not be all that explosive this year, but if they limit mistakes and are able to force turnovers, it becomes an interesting story because this Cal team is still a year or two away talent-wise from going where they should be on both sides of the ball with Justin Wilcox.
So if Tim DeRuyter has fixed the plumbing of Cal's defense, would that make him Roto DeRuyter?
Yeah, but I mean, you're also sort of referencing urethras when you talk about
that's
it.
True.
So
okay.
There's that. It's problematic.
Also, we had Washington, Wazoo, Utah, and Oregon win in the Pac-12 in addition to Colorado and Arizona. Any thoughts?
Dante Pettis is excellent at football. I like the evolution of Utah through the air, getting better and better and better. Oregon's defense. I have very low expectations. Every game, every week, every play. Oregon's defense under Jim Leavitt, and this is Wyoming. This is a Mountain West team with supposedly a very good quarterback that NFL types are enamored by. Oregon's defense played really well in this game. They struggled again offensively in the second half, sort of becoming not vanilla, but they just didn't have a killer instinct. They weren't in a rhythm like they were in the first half. They scored, I think it was 42 points again in the first half. But to me, the takeaway is Oregon's defense looks like a decent defense against below average competition, which is a step forward, Ty.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
And Oregon's schedule is pretty nice moving forward, right? It's ASU, looks like just garbage. It's Cal, who looks okay, but nothing crazy good. A Wazoo team, which has a couple of deficiencies. Stanford, which happier about that matchup than I was a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
UCLA's defense, happier about that than I was a few weeks ago. Utah, and then they go to Washington, which they're going to lose very badly.
Mm-hmm.
But Arizona, Oregon State, they miss USC. Ty, I don't know how many games Oregon's going to win, but I feel better about it than I did a couple weeks ago.
Good. That's a happy story.
Yeah.
Let's do dude alerts, okay?
Let's
do dude alerts! Who do you got? Give me some names.
All right. John Kelly, obviously. Duke Dawson, Anthony Miller, CJ Henderson, Dorian O'Daniel, Riley Ferguson. So many yards from Memphis. Nick Fitzgerald, we talked about. Colin Johnson, who USC knew they were throwing it to Colin Johnson. What did USC struggle to do?
Cover Colin Johnson. And we mentioned Cam Phillips. So do you have anybody in addition? Oh, gosh. Well, I want to throw a one out there to our boy, Deebo Samuel.
Deebo, absolutely. Hope you heal up. Dante Pettis was great.
Benny Snell, Alex Hornibrook, another dude, even though he's not so much under the radar. And I'm going to throw Quinn Norden on the list as well, because
hell yeah.
He is kicking the crap out of the ball right now. He might be Michigan's best offensive weapon at this point.
Yeah, an all-purpose kicker.
That's correct. Okay. That's all I got, man. A fun week in college football. A silent but a deadly week. I looked ahead to week 4, and it's looking like your window of opportunity is going to have to be early.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be early. If you care about Oklahoma State TCU, then you're going to want to be back in front of your TV by 3:34 Eastern time when that game kicks off. But otherwise, if you don't care, then you've got until about 7 p.m. So I'm just giving you the long-range outlook here, your 7-day forecast. It's looking like a pretty exciting week of college football. Not quite as silent, but perhaps every bit as deadly.
Okay. We should also mention Boise State beat New Mexico. UAB beat Coastal Carolina, two, in their own way, teams new to FBS football. Louisiana Tech won late against Western Kentucky. Frank Wilson, Texas San Antonio. Guess what? Frank Wilson's not going to be there for very long.
Nope.
He is an excellent coach.
Nope.
Outside of that, Western Michigan finally won. The Tulsa-Toledo game was actually quite fun in a crazy shootout. It's worth going back and looking. Logan Woodside, who he's a talented quarterback, 6 touchdowns. And I'm loading Pat League stuff right now, Ty, because we got a lot of Holy Cross love.
Yeah, did we?
People were very happy about Holy Cross. So who did Holy Cross play? They ended up beating New Hampshire. That's right. We really like the Wildcats. We were wrong. Marist beat Georgetown. They walked into the Hornets' nets, Ty. They walked in. They do what great teams do. Yale beat Lehigh. So I don't know what that says about you and your in-laws.
Right.
Interesting.
It's
been
Eastern
Washington.
It's been a rough year for Lehigh, actually.
They are yet to win a game.
Yeah,
which,
rough year.
Man, woof. Eastern Washington traveled cross country and beat Fordham. Did not see that coming. Villanova beat Lafayette 59-0. Rough all around in the Lehigh Valley, Ty.
Not going well, no.
And game day's here next week. Game day's
going?
in New York City.
Are you going?
I might stop by. Yeah. I know a couple people that work on the show, and I'll say hi, and then I'll leave and go eat tacos because there's a very good place nearby.
People were making a really big deal about the fact that they're doing that in New York City. I don't have a problem with it.
It's fine.
It's fine. I mean, those guys, they go to a campus every week. And if they want to go to a big city, so be it. I'm fine with that. What I really enjoyed, though, was the need to rationalize the pick. Your game day. You can go literally anywhere you want.
Do it.
Nobody really gives a damn if you decide to go to a big city as opposed to a campus. You're going to be just fine. People are still going to watch the show. But the constant need to try and rationalize that and say, wow, there are 13,000 Michigan alums in New York City.
There are many. I've dated like 9 of them.
So the fact that you even need to say that to me is a little ridiculous. Just do it.
Right.
Just do it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. New York is a fun place because you have this melting pot of fans from every single school. You can find an Arizona State bar. You can find a Washington State bar. You can probably find a San Diego State bar. It's a cool way to experience college football in a place that is not traditionally known outside of New York's one true team, Fordham Rams, for being a huge college football town. It's a fun place. And like every Saturday as I walk around New York, as I walk around Brooklyn and I'm wearing my Oregon Ducks shirt, I see people wearing shirts of every imaginable college on their, jogging on their way to a bar or whatever. It's a cool thing. I don't know what game day will look like in Times Square because Times Square is the worst, but I'm fine with it. It's fine.
It will be fine. Okay. Fun show. Thank you to everyone who called in. Again, hundreds of calls this week. Big thanks to our producer, Taylor, doing God's work, putting all those together. We appreciate everyone's participation in what was truly a fun week of college football. We will be back on Wednesday to discuss a bunch of interesting, saucy games in week 4. In the meantime, for that gentleman over there in New York City, Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildebrand, here in Eastern PA, thank you again for listening. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and by all means, stay solid.
Peace.